up, guys, and welcome back to Skins in the Game. We're up to episode 57, and we just caught you, right? Because you're about to turn 58 this year.
Next month.
So, yeah, we just caught your age. Look at that. So we have caught up to Dad's age. That's how many weeks we've done it. Not continuously, but we've been here for about 2 years now, I guess. We've been doing this on and off. So...
yeah, we took some time off, but we've had a good streak going. So
for sure. What's up, Command Center? Fight for Old DC. James in the house. Juris, of course, and Bades Fatfa. Thanks for all being here. We got somewhat of a shorter show tonight. Dad's going to watch the Caps game and have some fun with that for sure. I haven't watched much Caps at all, honestly.
I have not
very
either.
little. But we'll see how that goes. But we got a shorter show, but we got some interesting stuff still. Of course, the schedule, a little rookie minicamp. What's our expectations? Like, what's our predictions of like stats, early stat predictions here for these rookies, and maybe something else at the end. But we'll see. But for now, we're gonna start the show like every week with the dad joke of the week.
The material is slim, but I went with this one.
Yeah.
The inventor of the USB stick has died. Thanks for the memory.
Oh, nice little memory stick. I gotcha. All right, well played. Well played. Thanks for the memory. You see, Julie Donaldson stole my name. Yeah, they have a new podcast now, Washington Command Center. Yep, they definitely snagged that, and you may be screwed on that one because I bet they've gone through the process to make sure that nobody else could ever use that name ever
I was going to say, you didn't trademark it? You should...
you done messed up. I'm surprised they didn't take the Tim Sports Talk, man. Like, what the heck? That's so much better. That's hilarious. But, all right, Dad, what do you got?
You know, I have not watched much hockey all year, and I realized it was playoff time, and I watched some of the first game, some of the second game, none really of the third game, and then I watched the fourth game. And it saddens me to say that with a little over 2 minutes left to go in the game, the Cap they dropped their goalie at like 3 minutes left, and I don't know who did it. It was a shot that was this far between a goal and a 2-goal lead and an icing call. And it was an icing call. And right after that happened, I just had this feeling like, okay, I hate when I have negative feelings because most of the time they're right. But it was like, oh my God, so close. And now they're 2-2 against the number one record in the Eastern Conference, maybe in all of NHL. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the Florida Panthers have a great record. They have 52 wins. I think whoever wins tonight's game wins the series.
Yeah.
Simple. And I'm not really jumping out on a ledge to say that because
Game 5 usually decides a lot of them for sure.
Yep.
A lot of series in all of sports that have series. Game 5 is very, very pivotal. I think it increases I think your odds after winning Game 5 is like 2-1 or something like 66-33, literally, or
right.
something.
But also, going into Saturday's game, or not Saturday, Monday's game, they said the team that scores first has won over 60% of the games. Well, the Caps scored first, and they lost. So much for stats.
So much for stats. Who needs them anyway, right? No.
By the way, Michael, I see you use that term loosely.
Hello, gentlemen. Yeah. I have pre-existing use. I changed my name February 1st with the leak. Oh, maybe you have an argument. Good luck is all I'm saying. But all right, what do you got? I have two first, and they're going to be both basketball related. Okay. You played basketball a lot as a kid.
I did. Yep.
All right. What's the worst out of these four things growing up as a kid or playing basketball in general? No net on the hoop, a worn out basketball, a wet court, or terrible concrete.
Well, you left one out, which I
Oh,
hated,
going a wild card. Okay.
which is a rim that's not level.
Oh, a non-leveled rim. Coming
I
out with it.
played in many courts like that where the rim's like this.
Oh, that's a great point. Great point. Yeah, so I had him ranked out of the ones that I said, I had him ranked like this. I hate a worn out ball. I think a ball like a ball makes it for me. Like I could almost play on any court as long as the ball feels right. And I feel like I can get a good flick on it. Like the ball is most important. Next, I hated no net. More than
Yeah,
anything, if you
no net's
yeah,
bad. Yeah.
when you swish it, the ball just goes, right? It just goes forever. Like there's nothing to slow it
Well,
down.
and somebody can argue it didn't go through the rim,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's
Oh, it didn't hit.
definitely
That was not in the rim. Hello.
that was an air ball. Stop lying. Yeah. And then I said wet court because you don't want to slip, but and then bad concrete at the end. I mean, I don't know. Who cares? Bad
Oh,
concrete, I think,
I
at
didn't
the end of the
care.
game.
I didn't care about the floor or the court.
Hmm.
Um, a cockeyed rim um, made it hard to make a basket. But I always told myself, hey, we're playing by the same rules, so everybody's affected by it.
Yeah.
Um, if I had to pick number one, it would be no net
No net.
because
Fair enough.
when you hit the net
Hmm.
or a net that's like torn,
Uh-huh.
St. Ambrose used to have chain nets, and they were always like half torn down,
Yeah.
and you couldn't. And it was like, no, a net. If you swish the ball and it hits the net, you can't argue with it. There's
Yeah.
no net. Then it's like, what are you talking about? That wasn't even close.
Michael Starkey says, but believe it or not, an uneven rim helped me to become a better shooter.
I like it.
That's funny.
Oh, it was off.
Who remembers Converse blacktops? Did you mess with those? I don't know. I mean,
I
the
had
Converse
Converse
blacktop.
All Star tennis shoe. That was the shoe. I
Yeah,
don't, but I didn't know there was something specifically blacktop. But
yeah,
Converse All Stars were the deal.
yeah.
And you got to understand, when I was a kid,
Uh huh.
my father would buy us Red Ball Jets or Keds. They were like $2.50 a pair. To buy Converse All Stars were like $9. And
Wow.
he said if you paid the difference,
Uh huh.
you could get the Converse All Stars. So I would scrounge up my money to get $7 together so I could get the Converse All Stars.
Fair enough. Oh, apparently they were made for playing on outdoor courts. See, I had a nickname when I was a kid, and my nickname was the Barefoot Wizard. I didn't care what shoes were on my feet. I would play with no shoes outside on concrete. I don't know how I did it as a kid. And people would come up to me, especially like, guys in their like 20s and things like that would come up to me like, "How in the world do you play barefoot?" And I'm just like, "I just do. Shut up." Like, why do you need to go get your shoes? Why are you wasting my time? Just get on the court, check it up, let's play. Don't need to go get your shoes. Nowadays, like the last time I went to Cedar Point and I was walking around the pool deck, just walking around the pool deck, I had a blister this big on the bottom of my foot. My feet are so soft now. I can't even handle it at all. But shoes, I played in the shell toes shoes with no high top, no nothing. I can play in anything. I'll play in boots. Remember Paul and Chris across the street?
Yep.
I would play in their shoes.
Sandoval.
Yeah, and
Yep.
their shoes were, freaking way too big for my feet. I was probably wearing sixes at the time, and he had like size 11s. I'd wear those and play basketball and kill it in it. Shoes
Yeah,
affected me none.
I I get you. My feet were so tough when I was young, I could put a cigarette out with a ball of my foot. I know that's
Oh,
not
there you
politically correct, but
go.
I walked everywhere barefooted,
Yeah.
and it was like I had at least this much padding on my feet.
Yes.
But no, I get it.
All right, so my other what do you got is also basketball. It's NBA related. The NBA MVP came out. I'm assuming you don't know who it is.
I do not, and I
Correct. All
don't
right, good.
care. But go ahead.
I'm just curious. All right, so if you had a guy that had 27 points, almost 14 rebounds, 13.8, 8 assists. All right, I'll just start with those three stats.
That sounds pretty
Joel,
good.
or the other one was 30 points, almost 30 and a half, 30.6, actually, over 30 and a half. Just under 12 rebounds and only 4 assists, though. Who do you have winning the MVP if those are all that you can have?
The first one.
The first one? And that's who ended up winning, Nikola Jokic. But a lot of people, they say that Joel Embiid should have won the NBA MVP because Nikola Jokic is a liability on defense. So he's not so much a all-around player as Joel Embiid can play basically defense in almost all 5 positions. He's got great speed on his feet as a big man. He's a 7-footer, but he can move a lot. Both of them are big, which is interesting in an age where it's all about shooting and it's all about guards, you'd think, or at least maybe to the forward. The 2 guys running for MVP, actually the 3 guys, when you include Giannis, are all 6'11" and taller, big men inside. So that's kind of interesting.
Well, and just to
Yeah.
clarify, you said based it on the 3 stats you gave, you did not say
Right.
defense.
So now does that
I'm a
change?
big believer in defense. Yes.
Okay, so does that change your perspective?
I think it does.
Okay, so you think that you agree with the Joelers that Joel should have been the actual MVP,
Well, and again,
knowing what you know now.
no,
And then
yes.
I have more stuff to give. So it's interesting because like you go back and forth. I feel like because if you go to the record without their, without their star, Jokic, who won, was 2-6 without him. The Nuggets were 2-6 without him. The Sixers were 6-8 without Embiid. So still a losing record, but a better record without their best player. And then if you look at the rest of their team, Jokic didn't have his second best player, which is Jamal Murray. He hasn't played since last season. He basically played the entire season without their second best player. Arguably, maybe I don't think it would be arguable actually, but their second best player, Jamal Murray, has been a stud. He can average 25 points a game. He's a really good guard for them. Where Embiid now has James Harden. He's had Tobias Harris, Maxey, a young player who's averaging 17.5 points per game this season. So I think if you start to look who's around them, Embiid has more around him on a team, and they basically had the same. No, it was the Sixers were 51 and whatever that comes out to be, 51 and 31, and then the Nuggets were 48 and 34. So a slightly better record for the Sixers, but Embiid has more around him. I don't know. It's an interesting back and forth when you really start looking at it.
Okay. First of all,
Yeah.
most valuable player
Yeah.
is what they are to the team they play for. Where meaning if they're extracted, how far off does that team fall?
Right.
Right? I mean, that's what the MVP is. It's not overall, stats
Best
or
player
whatever.
in the NBA, yeah.
Right. It's what the team you play for, how far did they go with you, and how far would they have gone without you?
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line. And I don't have enough stats to say who's what, but
yeah,
extract one player, that player from there, and they fall automatically, then he's the most valuable player to that team.
I would have to say that Jokic should win it based on that criteria. Because while both teams obviously take a huge hit if they lose either player, but if we talk about who has a better chance of surviving without, I would have to think it's the Sixers because they still have James Harden to lean on, who's also a former MVP. Maxey's a great young player. Tobias Harris is an older veteran that can play, averaging 17 points a game, nearly 7 rebounds a game. Seth Curry coming off the bench. I love him coming off the bench for them. Steph Curry's brother. So I would have to lean towards then.
Jairus likes my ceiling fan, by the way.
Actually, Seth Curry doesn't play for them anymore, right? Am I? Actually,
I
Seth
have
Curry is
no
gone.
idea.
I think he got traded. Now that I think about it, I was just looking at their stats. I forgot about that. But either way, like I
By the way, I just
think
wanted to throw this
Jokic.
out. I read last week, since the last show, that Scottie Pippen is talking again and about Defensive Player of the Year,
Uh-huh.
and he said they always had their eyes on Michael. They never looked at me.
Yeah,
So he's still bubbling up,
bitter,
like, yeah,
a little
bitter
bitter about
party
it.
of one.
Yeah, the Pippen thing was crazy when I found out how much he made. A part of me does feel bad for him a little bit. I mean, he signed it because he was a little bit desperate, I guess, to sign the contract. But if you go back and look at those numbers, it's outrageous. Jordan was making like 31, 32 million a year, which is nuts. I mean, how many players? Well, I guess NBA players, they make a lot of money now, like in the 40s and stuff. But still, for the time, that was outrageous. Do you know how much Scotty was making at that same time?
Not a lot.
Like 5
Uh,
million or something, 4 million, like a sixth of the money or something like that. It was nuts. So,
Well, but the argument could be made, if Michael Jordan wasn't on the court, then they were going to be keying on Scottie Pippen. Got to play the second best player, or he was behind Michael Jordan. And
yeah.
I'm sorry, sign me up for $5 million a year for however long you want. I'd be happy with that, right?
Yeah, I like, and it may have even been less, and that's true. But when you make all that money at once, uh, that quickly, like they do tax the heck out of you living in Chicago, Illinois. Like so, a lot of that money gets snagged away. Like they were just talking about that with some rookie contracts. Like I think it was Sauce Gardner getting his contract at the fourth overall pick, and he was going to make like 31 million or something like the 32 million. And after taxes, he's only going to make 17 million, which
Oh my
is still a
God.
lot of money. But that's a lot of money taken away. It's pretty insane. But if he went to
So
Texas, like if he got drafted by the Texans, it would be way different. Like he may have saved like $6 to $8 million just getting drafted to a different place. But since he went to New York,
right.
like you're
By
getting
the
hit
way,
hard.
Michael
Yeah.
Starkey, how many championships does Pippen win without Jordan?
Well, I think the more argument is for
No, it's an honest argument. It's
yeah. But anyway, couldn't win until Larry Legend retired. I loved Larry Bird. Larry Bird's fun. Man,
oh,
I hate
Larry's
basketball.
amazing.
I'd play it every day for 200K a year. And
Hey,
I hate
Magic
basketball.
Johnson, watch
Yeah.
Magic Johnson play.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's some good players back then for sure. But anyway, all right. Enough to boring you guys about basketball. But I thought it was an interesting discussion on the MVP.
By the way, can I do one more? What do you got? I thought this was
I'm gonna mute him, guys.
interesting.
I'm muting him. It's like, no, go ahead.
No, that Jahan Dotson
Yeah.
showed up
John
for
Dotson.
a rookie.
You know what? Actually, hold on. We're gonna talk rookie minicamp and rookie stuff there. I'll let you. How about you go talk about Jahan when we get to that point? Deal.
Okay.
All right. Awesome.
I
First,
was just shut down, but go ahead.
shut down. Well, we're going to talk about the rookies and stuff too, still, and we're going to give some thoughts. And you can say exactly what you were going to say. Make sure you note it so you don't forget it. But I just want to make sure.
It's the only thing I got. I'm not forgetting. Trust me, it's right here. I'm on my hand.
All right. Well, the NFL schedule is ready to be released. You ready to do our overly optimistic next week after we know the schedule and go through it and look at the schedule with rose-colored glasses and figure out how great this team is going to be? But for now,
12-5. But go ahead.
12-5. I love it. Here's what we know so far, and I don't think any of these have been like confirmed, but I'm seeing them in multiple places, and it seems legit. So first off, we have another Thanksgiving game, and we've played a lot of Thanksgiving games lately, but this one's not against Dallas. This one looks to be at 12:30 against the Lions.
It's either the Cowboys or Detroit. I knew it as soon as you said that. So
yeah, well, there is a third game now on Thanksgiving that they potentially could play, but not to this time. They are going to play.
no, I think the third game is AFC, right?
The third game has been also. We played the third game before against the Giants.
Yeah, but was one of the other games is AFC? I thought maybe I'm
No,
wrong.
because it's always Detroit, always Dallas, and then for a while there, they were doing a rivalry game, which I thought was cool. Like they had the Jets Patriots, I think one year. They had the Ravens Steelers. They had us against the
You're right.
Giants.
Okay. Yep.
Um, maybe Bills Jets one year or something like that. So they usually do, or they were doing that for a while, but this year it looks like the Thanksgiving game at night is going to be Ravens versus Buffalo. So that'll be an interesting matchup if everybody stays healthy. And then you have Dallas and the Bengals on Thanksgiving. Those are the Thanksgiving games. We also have apparently the Giants week one. We don't know if it's away or home yet. And then
So how do you know that?
so it's just leaks on Twitter and things like that. And like there's so basically even the NFL, because the NFL has already given the schedules to like the coaches and stuff. So there's way too many people to know like what the actual schedule is to keep things quiet, just like the name, right? As soon as you start telling more people than just the people in the room initially, things are going to start to get out. So it's interesting of the how it happens, but and then we have Eagles on Monday night. On a Monday
Bring
night.
it.
We don't know which
Bring it.
one. On a Monday night against the Eagles, the Carson Wentz going against the Eagles for the first time, I believe. I don't think the Colts played them last year. Would you rather the first or the Monday night game be at home or Monday night be on the road?
I don't care.
Oh, you don't
Carson
care.
Carson Wentz is going to light him up. I'm going to say he's going to be closer to 400 yards passing than 300. I'm not saying he's going to get to 400, but he's going to be over 350.
Yeah, for sure. John Wick instead of John Wick. So he's going to be hunting Wentz, maybe. I love living in Florida. My paychecks are awesome. Oh, we're talking about the taxes. Yeah, I'm sure my dad likes it a lot more with his retirement checks, huh? It helps that for sure. It's like a pay increase automatically. Way to start it out nice and easy for us, even though I think the Giants are going to be better than people think, but we are way better than people think. Maybe. I agree that we're better than people think, but we'll see what the Giants look like this year. They do have an interesting amount of talent, but they did just lose their number one corner with
So they're still
it's
going with
interesting.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Yeah, the Redskins killer, Daniel Jones. We seem to never be able to beat him. But yeah, he's going to be there. So Giants week one. Where would you like the division games? Do you want them spread out? Do you want them in a bunch like last year where we played 5 in a row at the end? Or would you like them a little bit more diversified throughout? So basically, because like if you played a Eagles team week one, let's say, and then an Eagles team week 11, that's almost like playing two different teams. Where last year we played Dallas twice in 3 weeks and the Eagles in 3 weeks. That's like
Right.
playing the same team twice almost. There's not going to be a whole lot of turnover in just 3 weeks, but in 10, 11, 12 weeks, that could be two completely different teams. Would you like to catch them at the same time and hope that you get lucky that they stink twice in a row? Or would you like to spread them out and maybe you could get one that's a little bit quote unquote easier than the other because injuries and different things that happen?
No, I personally think, regardless of who stinks and how much,
Uh-huh.
I think that the division games should be evenly spread out.
Yeah.
Because I know they're thinking, all right, now we're at crunch time. Um, Teams are vying for the division championship. We want to pile it on. No, I think they should be spread out. Out
Uh-huh.
of you got 6 games against division opponents, they should be evenly spread out regardless. But I think they try to get theater that rarely works, right?
Yeah. I also did hear a weird rumor that the Browns might be the last game of the year, but I think that that's fake because it's always like for the last decade or more, it's always been division games that the ends of the year, and they want it that way because that's what makes the most turnover potential and makes it most interesting the last game of the year. Like us versus the Browns could be potentially a complete dud because what does that change? It's a complete different conference, so it doesn't change conference record. It's not a division, so it doesn't change division record. It's not a rivalry, so if both teams are out, it doesn't build any interest. Like, so I think that it's actually a really smart thing to do by the NFL to make it a division game at the end of the year. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, do you remember? I think I told you about this. I'm not sure if it's the same now, but there's a husband and wife on their kitchen table
Yeah.
that lay out the schedules for all the teams.
I don't know if that still happens, but I remember hearing that back in the day.
Oh, it was again. I don't know now,
Yeah.
but I think they determine travel. They try to minimize, east to west coast. So at the end of the year, they're trying to keep everybody local. So yes, the division games are the most sense because Giants, Philadelphia, okay, Dallas not so much, but
Yeah, well,
you're not
yeah, you
you're
brought that
not
up. That's an
flying.
interesting point because of the Seahawks are apparently having to travel an unbelievable amount from Washington State. They even have a game, I think, in London, I want to say. So, like, mileage wise, if I remember correctly, it was going to be like they're going to travel 29,000 miles throughout the season. And then a team like Pittsburgh, I think, is the entire season not going to leave the East Coast. And so they're only
Yeah,
going to
see,
travel
and
like
that's
4 or 5,000 miles.
jet lag is a real thing. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to wonder how they're going to do that with the Seahawks. Because imagine having to play like, I don't know what their schedule is, but let's just make it up. Like, imagine if they had to play like the Patriots one week, and then the next week they had to go to London, and then the next week they had to play in Miami
Yeah,
or
that's what
something
I
like
was saying.
that. Like,
Yeah,
that is a lot of travel
yeah.
uh, for a team that, because I remember we had like a weird schedule problem. Didn't we have like or was it us? Actually, the thing that I'm thinking about now is we had a schedule where we were playing like 4 teams in a row coming off their bye week.
Oh,
Like
yeah, I remember that.
like, every single team we were playing was coming. Like, even when we got the bye week, the other team had the bye week at the same time, which is like, oh, okay, so we can't even get that advantage. And then
Well,
I think
the
after
NFL
those,
doesn't like Dan Snyder, so
yeah, true. But they and I think after that, we had another game where the team didn't have a bye week, but they played on a Thursday. So a week and a half. So they even got extra time to play against us. So yeah, it's interesting how the schedule works out. But I did not want a Thanksgiving game. I hope that's wrong, but I'm hearing it from multiple sources that the Thanksgiving is pretty much locked up for the 3 games, and that
hey,
stinks.
I think the last time we played Dallas on Thanksgiving, we kicked their rear ends.
Heinies, yeah,
Yes, badly.
yeah, that was 2 years ago,
I know.
right? Yeah.
So I'm not against Thanksgiving games.
Well, I do play by play now, so that's what makes it hard.
Well, we're
So,
all together on Thanksgiving, so maybe you have
yeah.
to do a delayed play-by-play. But anyway, move on.
Maybe I'll bring my computer and set it up at Aunt Mary's. Maybe we'll figure it out. But anyway, all right. So the schedule comes out tomorrow at 8 p.m. officially, and next week, Dad and I will go through it with rose-colored glasses and see. It's not going to be kid-friendly. That's what I like to say. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous, and we are going to be true homers through that. So it'll be a lot of fun. All
Hey,
righty.
if I'm a fan, so I'm not rooting against them. I'm not going to
Right.
be pragmatic and sit back and go, "Oh yeah, they're going to lose that one." Nope,
Give me right
they're
now.
going to win them all. 17-0.
17-0. Let's do it. In
So
the
we're done.
predictions that were made, that was hilarious time. Okay, on to these rookie mini camps. All right, so yeah, the rookie mini camps. I don't know how you don't just keep your eyes glued to these things at all times. I mean, like, these things are so important for the rookies. Not really. Okay. everybody's going to look good. And, Cole Turner is apparently turning a lot of heads with his big frame and making catches. And, they had that one pass that was highlighted that everybody was freaking out. Look at Sam Howell to Jahan Dotson. And like, look at the beautiful throw. It hit him right in the stride. It's like, okay, if you can't throw a simple slant pass in practice, you have a lot more problems than we think
I
about.
was going to
Yeah,
say, Tim, if
yeah.
you and me are in the backyard and I'm throwing you passes, I'm pretty sure I can lead you at least one time out of 20.
At least, yeah, that's the one we'll record and put on the internet for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that 5-yard slam pass was the greatest I've ever seen. Yeah, like people were, it was hilarious. 100% 90-yard TDs on that slant. 1000%. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be the Pierre Garcon from RG3, right? His first touchdown. Yeah, it's just a given. Gimme ran straight up Dallas's buttocks on Thanksgiving. Leighton Vander Esch was the only guy that could tackle him, and only after that, about 10 yards. Yeah, we were doing a great that game, and then that was the game that Mike McCarthy did that weird fake punt thing that completely turned the game in our favor. It was such a bad call, but anyway.
Yeah, the ball ended up going out of bounds on the sideline. Like it was like, oh yeah, let me just throw it over here. Oh, sorry, I missed you by 5 yards.
Yeah, it was convenient for us. All right, let's go through this. What are some stat prediction reason? Like, what would make you, or I guess, like, what is your prediction here for stats and early stats? So we had a first round pick, Jahan Dotson, our rookie. Do you see him getting over 1,000 yards, or what do you think his early stat predictions will be?
I'm not sure I'm aiming for 1,000.
All right, and you can also talk about what you were going to say earlier with Jahan.
No, I know. I like
Okay.
his attitude, which is he showed up for rookie camp and was going to forego the Penn State commencement, which he's one of the first guys in his family to graduate college. And Ron Rivera took him aside and said, dude, you got to go to the commencement. It's your family. It means a lot to you. But I like that attitude where he's like, hey, I signed up here. I got to be here for a rookie mini camp. And Ron was like, okay, cycle down. But I'm not sure I'm going to bet on 1,000 yards. But I think he's going to counter Terry pretty well, and he's going to have a successful season. Putting a number on it, I don't know, maybe 1,000, but I doubt it. So,
yeah,
but I think he's going to be. I think him being there is going to make Terry better, and they're going to do some good things.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think he's gonna have a pretty decent season, but I'm gonna go with 47 catches, 702 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's what I'm going with.
Okay. And how does that affect Terry at all? What do you think Terry's going to do with him at the other side? Or in the
With
slot?
Carson Wentz here, Terry could go the distance. I think he'll have at least 1,200 yards on probably like 130 targets. So maybe end up with like 98 catches, something like that.
All right,
With
I guess. Okay,
8 touchdowns.
all right, I follow you, but I guess my question is, do you think Dotson being out there is going to affect Terry at all in a positive way, or is
100%.
Terry just going to be Terry?
Well, Terry's always going to be Terry. But honestly, I think the more important thing is having Carson Wentz rather than having Jahan Dotson. Like Jahan Dotson, I think helps. There's like I don't think Jahan Dotson hurts by any means, but I think the more impactful thing to Terry's game is going to be Carson Wentz. And 1,200 yards might be a very conservative number this year for Terry. He
Wow,
could end up with a crazy number.
how your tune has changed.
With what?
Carson Wentz.
What do you mean? I've been on Carson Wentz bandwagon the whole time.
No, when they first picked him, you were like, "Oh my god, or
No.
they
Oh,
traded
you're
for
talking
him.
about Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson, I was very sad about.
No,
But
no,
Carson
no. I'm
Wentz.
talking about Carson Wentz when
No,
they
Carson
first.
Wentz. I was super excited the first day it happened. 2 weeks beforehand, somebody asked about it, and I said that was best case scenario. But Dotson,
Maybe I'm thinking
I'm not.
about your uncle that was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my
yeah,
god."
he was. Rob, you said was not a fan, but no, I've been on that train since it happened. So
All right, my bad.
no, you're good. Fedarian Mathis in a rotational 9 sacks his senior year of college. I think he's a bit of a run stopper, but he eats on double team, so I don't know if he's going to get a whole bunch of tackles. But where do you see Fedarian Mathis ending up in the sack and tackles department? Maybe.
It depends on who gets hurt in front of him.
And
I
then he
mean,
plays more. Yeah, because I think Payne had like 60 tackles last year with like 5 sacks, I want to say. Do you think he has those kind of numbers, or do you think it's probably going to be more like 40 tackles with maybe like 2 sacks?
I mean, I don't think I know he's going to be rotational, but I think it depends on what happens in front of him.
Yeah.
If the guys stay healthy, then the numbers are down to what you said the second part. But if I think he can step in if he has to,
Yeah.
and then I think his numbers go.
This is an interesting point here from JMZ that I wanted to address actually real quick. You're forgetting Scott Turner is still our OC. Gibson and McKissick are going to combine for 120 catches, and a healthy Logan Thomas. Not going to be a lot of meat left on the bone for the wide receivers. This is why I say that I think Carson Wentz is more important than the Jahan Dotson move, because Carson Wentz actually has the ability to push the ball downfield, and he also has the willingness to push it downfield. Like, yes, I understand Scott Turner is going to call a lot of checkdowns and a lot of screen passes potentially and get the ball to other playmakers besides Terry. But there's going to be, when Terry has a one-on-one situation, Carson Wentz is going to be much more likely to look that direction than Taylor Heineke was, or Dwayne Haskins, or whatever.
Because Carson Wentz can flick the ball 60 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Taylor Heineke cannot.
Yeah.
Do that.
So that's why I say that. Yeah, and that's why I didn't have Terry getting 130 catches or something crazy like that. But I could totally see him getting 98 catches and those going for a big number of yards per catch, because a lot of those are going to be deep passes coming from Carson Wentz. So you could see maybe 13 yards a catch or something like that with 98 catches. That gets us close to 1,300 yards for the year. So I think that's a very possibility.
Let's also keep in mind that all these stats depend on how the defense plays. If the defense is playing shutdown defense, then Terry's not going to get 15 catches a game because they don't have to.
Right.
So the more catches Terry gets is probably because our defense has problems. Right? See what I'm saying?
So you're saying that if the defense doesn't play well, we're going to get in more shootouts. So that means he's going to get more targets.
No, it's exactly.
Yeah.
I'm saying if we're down, if we score 21 points in the first half and the defense shuts them down to 7, then in the second half, they're not throwing a lot of balls to Terry. They're running the ball up the middle and they're trying to gain. But if
I can still see a play action over the top though to Terry, and then it turns into one catch, but that one catch turns into 60 yards and a touchdown, or something like that in the second half. So I can still see that.
But I think if we're down by 10 in the second half, then Terry's getting a lot more looks. That's all I'm saying.
Right. I think going back to Fedarian Mathis though, I think Fedarian Mathis, he's going to be on the field quite a bit. So
I think
he's going to play probably 50% of the set. Fedarian, yeah. Big Phil. I don't know why the L all of a sudden gets in, but people add L to our last name all the time, so why not? Yeah. I see not like a crazy stat line for him. I think that 2 sacks is reasonable, and those are going to be hustle sacks. He's not going to get them in just destroying the line of scrimmage. It's just going to be somebody, one of the teams holds the ball on too long and he gets it. I think he's going to have 2 forced fumbles though, because he has big, heavy hands. I think he's going to end up with 2 forced fumbles on the year, and then I think he'll end up with about 36 tackles. That's what I'm saying.
All right, so let me ask you this question.
Yes.
How many snaps a game do you think he gets?
So typically, I think it's like 70 to 80 plays a game for each offense and defense.
Right.
So I think he'll probably get somewhere between 35 to 40 snaps,
So
maybe
he's
42
he's a
snaps.
substantial participant.
Yeah, because defensive line
Okay.
rotates a lot. So like
Okay.
even the best defensive tackles only play like 75% of the game
Okay.
because it's just such a brutal. I mean, you know how it is, like trying to uh fight a 320 pounder right in front of you every play and keeping your gas with playing at the offense's tempo and now you have to also chase down the running back. Like an offensive lineman will a lot of times block their dude and then just seal off and sometimes just lay on top of the guy, right?
Right.
So like there's a lot
So
of
you're
times.
talking about 45% of the snaps.
Yeah, somewhere between 45 to 50%.
Okay.
If I were to guess, and maybe a little bit over that. If there's 80 snaps, maybe he'll get up to 42 snaps or something like that. So just over 50% some games. But that's where I see him. Brian Robinson, the running back number 2. He is the second back. I think Brian Robinson is going to steal, and this is not an uncommon thing. But it's definitely probable that he's going to steal some goal line carries from Terry. So I think he's going to end up with, I want to say, at least 7 touchdowns on the year, even as a backup running back, because I think he's going to steal quite a bit down there at the goal line. But I don't think he's going to have a
From
great.
McKissick?
No, from Gibby. Like when it's like when it's 2nd and 1 on the 2-yard line at the goal line, like they're going to bring in big boy Brian Robinson to try to punch it in, not use as much Gibby. So I think he's going to snipe some touchdowns. So I'm going to say 7 touchdowns, but then he's only going to end up with maybe 400 yards rushing and only average like 3.3 yards a carry. Like I don't think he's going to have tremendous stats around the board, mainly because of how we're going to use him. Because we're just going to use them in short yardage situations majority of the time. So those
Right.
just don't lend to huge numbers. But that's where I see. What about you?
No, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it depends on what the score is.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're up, then he's going to get huge numbers along with every other running back. If we're down, they're probably not running. Yeah, you're right. 2nd and goal at the 1-yard line. Yep,
Yeah.
he's going to be called on. But if we're down by 14 points, then and we don't get to the 1-yard line, he's
Uh-huh.
not getting any calls at all. So,
Yeah. Fair
right?
enough.
I mean, is that? I mean, okay, we're going to have a lot of
We might
second
be joking
and
about 2-yard Barber again, just because when we use them. Yeah. True. But I think he's going to be better than 2-yard Barber. 2-yard Barber was just terrible. He was bad. I think he's going to be better than that. You are looking at it like pass rush is the DT's only job. Mathis is better suited as a the nose tackle we lacked. I don't know. Maybe you're talking to somebody else. I'm not sure. But no, I mean, I
no,
talked
he's
about his
talking about
tackles and stuff.
Fedarian.
But Fedarian. I know. How dare you write Mathis? We don't write Mathis on this channel. We write the whole thing out. Fedarian. Percy Butler, the free safety. Ron says he's going to play over 50% of snaps. Our 4th-round pick but he plays all over the field. He can play some free safety. He can play in the box. He can play as the great Buffalo nickel, where maybe he lines up with some running backs and tight ends. Yeah, exactly. So Percy Butler, I'm going to say this, if he actually plays 50% of snaps, how many interceptions do you think this guy could end up with? 3? That would be incredible. I
All right.
like that.
You want to
I
bet?
like
You
that
want to bet
prediction.
$1?
All right, so I go the under 3, you go 3 and over?
Yep.
All right, dollar on that one. All right,
No,
I'm
you
going to
know
have it.
what? I hate a tie. So
No, I said you have the 3 and over.
okay, so
The
it's two
the
and a half.
yeah, it's 2.5. The over under is
Okay.
2.5. Yeah, you got the 3 because that was your prediction 3. So I got the 2 and under. All right. So I hope he gets -1 something. No, just kidding. I hope he gets 3. I hope you win that bet. That's fun. Yeah, Percy Butler, I could see him ending up with maybe 45 tackles, 50 tackles if he actually plays that much. And then I'm gonna say 6 PBUs, six blocks. And then I'm gonna say he ends up with 1 fumble recovery. And so 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, 45 tackles. Did I forget something else? Oh, and 6
And
PBUs.
this is from the safety position or the
Yes.
secondary. I
Yeah.
know he shifts around. So okay.
Yep. All right. Cole Turner, the backup 2 tight end. What's the over under of him being Apke 2.0? Since Mayhew drafted him, I'm going to say like 60-40.
80%.
Yeah, 70-40 or 70-30 maybe. That he ends up doing him 2.0. All right, so Cole Turner, the tight end, uh, a real red zone threat, but he's an ex wide receiver, so he could get targets around the field, especially if Logan's not healthy.
So what's his bio? Do you know
He's six foot
size?
seven. Yeah, he's like 6'6", 6'7", somewhere in that range. 255 pounds. He's not
So
the
like a
fastest guy in the
Ron
route.
Gronkowski.
Rob Gronkowski, a little bit, yeah. Not quite as strong, and like, but as far as height and stuff, yeah, it's a very similar. Maybe closer to like the Ravens tight end with Mark Andrews. I think that Chris made that comparison. I thought that's probably a little bit better. Which Mark Andrews puts up pretty good numbers over there in Baltimore. So where do you see Cole Turner? Over under 350 yards.
For the season,
Yeah.
I'll go over.
All right. And then over under 5 touchdowns as a red zone threat.
For the whole season, I'll go over.
All righty. I'm gonna say he ends up. I'm gonna say he barely ends up over the 350. Maybe hits 400, and then gets only 4 touchdowns though. So
All
I'm
right. So
I'm over with those.
our other dollar bet is 5-4. So it's 4.5
Okay.
touchdowns over under. So that's our hedge bet.
Alrighty, there you go. So not bad. And then I'm not going to make predictions on the corner, the out of the 7th round. I have no clue what he ends up. I don't know if he's even going to play or even make the team. So we'll see on that one. All right, the last question, as I said, we're going to call it a little bit of a shorter show for tonight because we want to get to the Caps game. But 2 questions here. Do you predict that Sam Howell will see the field at all this season? The quarterback out of the 5th round. And secondly, would you trade Taylor Heineke now that we have Sam Howell? And if you did, what would your asking price be?
Okay. Well, the first question is I don't think Sam Howell should, unless something really goes bad, I don't think he should be on the field. I think most quarterbacks that are successful have a season to watch. So I don't think I can't say he won't, but I hope he doesn't because I think Carson Wentz, if he's healthy, and by the way, I got a bet with your Uncle Rob that the
He has to
over
play over
under
11 games, right?
right.
Yeah, I remember that bet. Yep.
So I'm hoping that he gets to watch
Uh-huh.
and worst case Taylor Heineke is the backup because
Mm-hmm.
he's got to watch. But um, we talked about this before. Um, would you trade Taylor Heineke? It depends on what someone came to our door and offered. So a fourth or fifth round pick next year. I don't. It's hard to pick, but you you have to base that on what the guy knocking on your door,
Yeah.
how much his need is. Then you can play that bet. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would say that I would accept no less than a fourth for Heineke. But if a team came to me with a fourth, probably would find it hard to turn down. Unless, like, because I don't mind if Sam Howell plays this year. I really don't. But a lot of people do. Like, they really do not want to see Sam Howell on the field year one. Which I don't want it either. I want Carson to play the entire season. So it's not like I'm
No, I get
happy if
what
Sam
you're.
Howell playing, but I'm not afraid of it. Like, I'm not. I wouldn't be like, oh man, gosh darn it, like he's out on the field. So in that case, I would trade Heineke for a fourth, but I think that his value is more than a fifth. And why do I say that? Because we traded a fifth for Kyle Allen. And yeah, I understand that Scott Turner wanted somebody that knew his system and blah, 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 things like that. But I still feel like Taylor, he has shown more ability than what Kyle Allen showed.
So here's my
And
question:
I would say that. But yeah, go ahead.
what is the scenario you see where Sam Howell gets on the field? I
Um,
mean, if Carson Wentz goes,
only entry. I don't see there's
but
ever a scenario where like Carson Wentz is not going to get benched. Period.
no,
End
but
story.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying though, is we got Carson, we got Taylor, and we got Sam.
Right.
So Carson goes down, who goes on the field?
Heineke.
Okay, so you're saying Wentz and Heineke have to go down before
Mhm.
Sam gets on the field. Okay, just wanted to
But
clarify.
I would say there is a possibility that he could, by midway through the year, that he wins the job over Heineke.
So you're saying if again, just
It's a
trying
low
to clarify.
possibility, but I think like 25% chance. I think he has
But
to
you're
get.
saying, okay, let
Yeah.
me just clarify.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz goes down. Heineke goes out and he's playing kind of like crap.
Uh huh.
And the coaches are thinking, hey, we want to see Sam Howell just to see what he can do.
Uh huh.
Right? So Carson Wentz is not getting benched. I get that. I believe I agree with you. But Carson Wentz, if he's playing and he's in there, he's not getting benched. But if he gets hurt, Heineke steps up. If Heineke is stinking up the bed, then they might think, hey, let's see what Sam can do. Is
Right.
that a fair assessment?
Yeah. And I was just reading through some comments here as well. Um, what's the value in keeping him? Wentz being good is our only hope. If he goes down the season, it's a loss. Well, the benefit would be if Wentz only is out a couple of games, and then you have a competent starter that can continue to come in and win potentially through your starting quarterback getting out. A guy that knows the offense through and through, a guy that uh, is capable, who has shown the capabilities of winning in this league and playing at a reasonable level, especially in that 4-game win streak where his third down completion percentage was through the roof and just was doing enough to continue these long sustained drives. So the argument of keeping him would be in the case of Wentz being out for a short amount of time. But I do agree with the sentiment of if Wentz goes down for the season, like if he, God forbid, a torn ACL or something crazy like that, the season's lost. Taylor's not bringing us to a Super Bowl. Like that's just not happening. Right. So we
Yep.
may still be able to make the playoffs in some weird scenario. But as far as making a deep run, that's just off the table at that point. So I would not just give him away for a 5th-round pick, though. I think he does have enough value to say I will keep Heineke for this season over taking a 5th. But when you
All
start
right.
getting into 4th, that's where it's a little bit interesting.
All right, let me ask you this question because I've heard this when it comes to a rookie quarterback
Mhm.
that I believe Taylor is at the point where you can bring him in, you can take him out, you can bench him, he'd be fine. But how do you think, and do you think it's going to be a problem with Sam if he gets called in
Uh-huh.
and then gets benched? Does that mess with his psyche, or you're not worried about that?
Benched for who?
Just bench because he's playing bad.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, if you bench a player because of poor play, then yeah, that really sucks for
Yeah,
a
but
guy's psyche
that's what I
for
was
sure.
saying, that Heineke has been there. It's like if Heineke messes up or Carson Wentz messes up, I'm not worried about their psyche. But if you
Uh-huh.
have a rookie you bring in this year
Uh-huh.
and he sucks and you bench him because he sucks, can you ever rely on him again?
Um, yeah, I would never bench Sam Howell because he sucks. I wouldn't bench any quarterback that I want term because he sucks. That just is a horrible thing to do because now you put that in the back of their head. If I start losing, I come out. Or if I start playing, like if I throw maybe a couple of bad interceptions in a row, now I come out. Like you don't want to put that in his head. You don't want the extra pressure of if I fail that this is done. Like, and you hope I wouldn't want to put that extra pressure. Like I think it was bad that we benched Dwayne Haskins if you wanted Haskins long term, right
Well,
after the week
and
4.
I guess this is my point. If
Yeah.
you bring in Sam Howell
Uh-huh.
this year,
Yeah.
because for whatever reason, then you play him out,
Mhm.
because as soon as you take him out, short of injury,
Right.
but as soon as you take him out, he's done. If you take him out for a bad play, if you take him out, you know, in like hockey, a goalie, you can is having a bad game, you're like, okay, you're getting your butt kicked, sit down, they can come back another day and play.
Uh-huh.
But as soon as you put in Sam Howell and you're riding him out
Uh-huh.
until the point you think he can't run my team. And as soon as you think that and you bench him, then you're moving on somewhere else.
Yeah, I would never bench him because of bad play unless I'm done. That's how I feel about it. Like if you bench him with bad play, then then you're just you're ruining it, I think. But I wouldn't be
Kind of like,
mad if he started at all this season because I don't know, like a part of me just says you're either good or you're not, right? And I understand, like, if you go to like Peyton Manning and you look at his rookie season, he had a lot of interceptions, but you could tell watching the guy had promise. Like, you knew that this guy is the real deal, even though he was making quote unquote rookie mistakes, right? Whereas you didn't really get the same feeling with Haskins, or you didn't really get the same feeling with, I don't know, I'm sure there's other quarterbacks that you can say maybe Baker Mayfield or uh, Daniel Jones, things like this, where maybe you didn't get that exact same feeling. So, yeah, even if Sam Howell doesn't have great stats, like even Joe Burrow was not what he was 2 years ago as a rookie, where the stats were not necessarily through the roof, but you could tell like this guy is a legit NFL starting quarterback. So I'm fine if we see him because then we can actually see him in a true game and have a good tell. All right, can this guy be a legitimate
yeah,
starter at
I'm
this
just saying
level,
you're
or can he
signing
not?
on or not. By the way,
Yeah.
skin them alive. That's kind of funny.
Oh, how is the future? Yeah. Tim, do you think you could land a plane on your own if the pilot goes down? Um, I would
I
certainly
don't even
try.
care the answer. I love that.
I would certainly try. That's for sure. Uh, we almost beat Tampa Bay in the playoffs 2 years ago. One possession game. We can win with him if the D doesn't blow chowder. Thinking he wouldn't be better after a year of starting is just silly. Uh, maybe win one playoff game, but you're not making a deep run playoff game or playoff run with Taylor Heineke. Like He's just not that kind of a quarterback.
Yeah, but the question is do you think we lost because of Taylor, or we lost because the defense or other stuff? He kept us in that game with Tampa Bay, and maybe Tampa Bay was off their game,
Uh-huh.
but do you think Taylor Heineke is the reason we lost that game?
The reason that we lost that game would be harsh to say. I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but he also didn't win the game. I mean, he had the ball with 4 minutes left. I got to think about exactly what happened in that game, but he didn't drive us down the field and win either. But he also played great that game overall. But if you watch
Yeah, but he was playing against a pretty damn good defense.
the secondary for them was pretty mediocre, and they didn't have Devin White, their like the heart of their defense that particular game. But he played well. I'm not taking it away from the fact that he didn't play well, but when you watch him over a full season like we did last year, you saw a guy that like consistency is not really his thing.
No,
And
he doesn't read the field well. He
right,
doesn't see things because it's got to be like this.
yeah, and like to say that he can't win is obviously hyperbolic, right? Because technically anybody has a shot. Like Jimmy G went to the NFC Championship and he's dog water. He went to the Super Bowl a
Is it
few years
Trent
ago.
Dilfer?
Yeah, Trent Dilfer was dog water. Rex Grossman has gone to a Super Bowl. So technically speaking, anybody has a chance. Like, so to say he has no chance is obviously a hyperbolic statement. But when I say he has no chance, I'm talking about like less than 1%, like a less than 2% or something like that. Like that's what I mean, where the chances are so low that like I would rather go ahead and take that 5th round pick than gamble on Heineke taking me to the Super Bowl. Let's put it that way.
By
You
the
know what I
way,
mean?
you don't like my comparison, or you won't like my comparison with Rex Grossman and Eli Manning.
Oh, I remember your comparison of the Eli Manning as Rex Grossman, but with support
Yeah, with the different
with the
last
neck
name.
with the last name. Yeah, I don't know if you saw the
Because
news yet. It happened in Florida today. Looked it up. Do you know what happened in Florida?
I do not. Well, I haven't been paying attention to the news. I've been listening.
True. Yeah,
Oh, is Florida? Are we talking hockey or football or news or? Come on, man, give us more.
hockey. Yeah, what is the hockey game looking like right now? Let's take a look. Hey, Caps up 1-0.
I'm afraid to start watching because every time I watch, they lose.
Who scored the
But
goal? Let's
anyway,
see. I'm curious who scored.
Kuznetsov.
Oh my goodness. We've we have more shots of them too. We have 8 shots on goal um to their 3, which is different than last game. Uh-oh. Dow just got put in the penalty box, it looks like.
Doesn't matter.
So they're going to go on a power play. But box score, let's see what's going on here. The goal came from Oshie. TJ Oshie got the goal.
Yeah, he's another good player.
Awesome. Well, alrighty. What do you think is happening with the linebacker position, Tim? I can't even begin to predict it, man. I would have bet the house that we drafted a linebacker. Like I would have bet all of my money that at some point in that draft we would have drafted a linebacker. So the fact that we didn't, all bets are off. I have no idea. They may literally just stick with Cole Holcomb, Jamin Davis, David Mayo, Milo Eifler. They may just stick with that group of people. John Kunijik. And I think that's insane. It's nutty, but they may just stick with that. But anyway, any last so you're saying Eli
No,
Manning is the
I
sex
want
symbol?
I did not say that.
Anyway, any last
I want to
things to go
throw.
ahead? Yeah, go ahead.
I want to throw out one last useless stat
Uh-huh.
before we go off. That it's reported that Tom Brady has signed with Fox Sports
Oh
for
yeah.
10 years when he retires, and he's going to make more money in the 10 years than he did in his whole career. 375 million over 10 years. versus 333 million, 20 years in the NFL.
Wow.
That's all I got.
It's crazy. Oh, a guy landed a plane who never did fly before, apparently.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he had the tower talking him through it, which God bless him. I'm not saying I could do it, but there were some people there going, pull up on this lever, turn this.
Right, right. So he didn't just go in there with all those buttons and just start hitting things and landed. Yeah, that's
All
funny.
right, so let's go Caps.
Yes.
Got to
All
win
caps.
this game. All right.
Wow, awesome. Well, thank you guys in the chat for watching. It was appreciative.
Great comments as always.
We wanted it to be a little bit shorter show. We still went over an hour because that's just what we do. But we will go now watch the Caps with 6:19 to go here in the first period. And we'll see how this goes, man. Good luck to the Caps. And you said you had nothing else, right?
I'm done.
Until next time.